Hello everyone. Amidst the border standoff between India and China and the abrupt pullout of US forces from Afghanistan, the BRICS 13 summit concluded on 9th of September in India. Prime Minister addressed the concluding session of this very event virtually. In today's lecture, we'll see what are the challenges that BRICS faces and how it is still relevant for India and what are the key takeaways from this year's summit. So, let us, as I've already told you, why is this summit in news? Because it is being hosted by India this time. The theme of this very year summit is BRICS at the rate 15, intra-BRICS cooperation for continuity, consolidation and consensus. Why we are calling this as at the rate 15, despite of it being the 13th summit, is because this grouping was formalized in the year 2006, and if we account from that year onwards, it will turn out to be 15th. The next year's summit will be hosted by China. So, let us have a brief history of BRICS and from where did this very concept came up. So, in 2001, Goldman Sachs' Jim O'Neill wrote a paper. This paper was titled as Building Better Global Economic BRICS and pointed out that future GDP growth of the world will be coming from emerging economies such as China, India and Russia and Brazil. So, leaders of these countries recognized the relevance of this very paper in 2006, and Brazil, India, China and Russia formalized itself into a group so as to achieve this very objective, so as to also turn the tilt of global economic power towards the east from the west. And the first BRICS summit ultimately took place in 2009 in Yekaterinburg, Russia. In 2010, a member from African continent was sought to be included in this very grouping, and since South Africa was doing well at that point in time, it became a full member of BRIC, and hence BRIC became BRICS. Apart from that, 41%, if we are to talk about statistics, 41% of the world's population live in BRICS countries. It has 24% of global GDP and runs 16% of world trade. Besides this, 29.3% of the total landmass of the world is being covered by BRICS countries. Now, what are the three pillars of this year's BRICS summit, which was hosted by India? If we go to the BRICS site, 13th BRICS summit site, we will find these three pillars. So, these three pillars are: number one, political and security. It calls for cooperation on issues of global security. As I have already said, that this summit is being held under the backdrop of Afghan crisis, and naturally this topic was to come up. It calls for reforms of multilateral institutions such as WTO, UN, IMF, and lastly cooperation on countering terrorism and its financing. The second pillar is with respect to economic and financial gains. Then mutual growth, economic growth and development through cooperation, and collaborative approach to achieve sustainable development goals. Whatever the experiences different countries have had in BRICS, they share these experiences so that we can achieve, all the groupings can achieve sustainable development goals as soon as possible. In order for this second pillar to happen, this third pillar has a lot of very significance, which is cultural and people to people exchanges amongst BRICS people. Only and only when people intermingle between different countries, then only economic synergies can be harnessed. So, what are the major highlights of this year's summit? Let us have a look at those. So, there was an agreement on cooperation in the field of remote sensing satellites. Then, with respect to terrorism, BRICS has adopted counter-terrorism action plan. After every summit, there is a declaration, and this year's declaration is known as the Delhi Declaration, and all the members subscribe to this very declaration. So, it calls for yet again reforms of the principal organs of United Nations, including most importantly the UN Security Council. Now, India is not naive. India knows very well that China may not be or might never be in favor of its permanent membership of this very Security Council. However, when it comes to foreign relations and international relationships, there are certain goals which take times to be achieved, and therefore getting China to recognize the principle again and again and reaffirm that Security Councils need reformation is a step towards that very direction. Then this declaration also calls about inclusive intra-Afghan dialogue for stability in Afghanistan. With respect to COVID-19, which is one of the most important topic, this declaration has noted the proposal made by India and South Africa at the WTO for relaxation and waiver with respect to intellectual property rights from TRIPS, so that the COVID-19 vaccines production can be enhanced and the entire world can be vaccinated as soon as possible. Basically, India and South Africa has made this petition that a one-off waiver should be given, keeping in mind the grave situation of COVID-19. In COVID-19, no one is safe until everyone is safe. So this is with respect to the main highlights of this very event. Now, what are the basic problems with respect to BRICS? As we can see that the BRICS have not been able to achieve its goals of becoming the work engine or the powerhouse of global GDP, and there are a set of reasons behind this very thing. Then again, as we can see, India and Brazil, South Africa are strategically close to the West. This begs the question that is BRICS a bridge between West and East, or works as a bulwark against the West? Why do we call that it works as a bulwark against the West? Because at the time that BRICS concept was conceptualized, it was a concept so as to see that the economic power tilts from West to East. Earlier and until then, the West was running the economic world order. However, with the changing strategic dimensions of the world after 13 years, today with the influence and coming of China and claiming its fair share of power on the world stage, when we see the role of BRICS, in BRICS we find India, Brazil and South Africa, which are very closely strategically with the West. So now, is this organization going to work as a bridge, or will stay true to its earlier aim, that is so as to work as a bulwark against Western economic influence? Then, with respect to long-term prospects, these are certainly again under question when we speak of BRICS. And why are these in questions? Although BRICS has a policy that no country will bring in its bilateral disputes into this very forum, and this forum would be for the purpose of discussing global issues. However, certain bilateral issues are of such nature which the shadow of which cannot be escaped. Let us see. Besides China, first of all, when we speak of economic terms, no other member has performed economically. India is also underperforming. With respect to South Africa, it is presently under such a debt burden that it has been predicted that in the next 1 decade its economy may collapse. With respect to Brazil, Brazil has shown the worst economic recovery curve, as its COVID handling has been extremely poor. Then the Russia and Chinese aggression in Ukraine and South China Sea respectively speaks against the security establishment, the security goals of this very organization. Then India's emphasis on Quad and China's objections to it cannot also be not seen when we talk about this very organization and cooperation between them. Like, you cannot cooperate on one hand and you cannot undercut the party on the other hand. Then China's BRI has not been joined by India and Russia. Now, when we are speaking, the entire aim of this organization is for economic cooperation, and when one country comes up with such a massive economic plan and the other two major partners do not join in, then what is the entire purpose of this very organization? And can't this organization chart out a way so as to enter into that cooperative spirit? So in this way, the prospects of this very organization and its relevance to its true objectives getting achieved are certainly under question. However, then why do not India back out from this very organization? At every other front, strategically, India is also trying to curb China's influence. Economically, India especially, wants to undercut China at certain point in time. So, still we are into this very organization. What are the major reasons for this? So, first is sunken costs. So, basically, it is extremely difficult to stand international institutions and it requires lot of costs. However, when it comes to dissolving these institutions, it is very easy. And then at that point in time, we get to think as to what is the benefit of this dissolving. Then BRICS signify our strategic economy. India's foreign policy has always been geared towards representing that we are strategically autonomous. And despite of having a Quad membership and strategically involved with the United States, in this very forum when we go and speak with China, it shows that there are situations when we can exercise our autonomy as well. Then with respect to New Development Bank, which is a feature of BRICS, so it is a connecting point, and although BRICS is not that formal an organization, however, when we speak of a bank, it is always a formal institution, and naturally even if BRICS gets dissolved, New Development Bank cannot be dissolved, and it has equity of all the members, and therefore all the members have to cooperate when it comes to working of New Development Bank. So even when you break this very organization, still at some level you will have to work towards the same goals. Then it is India's pullout can snub Russia. Russia attaches quite some importance to this very organization. As you can see that the West has completely black-sided Russia, and this organization happens to be one of the few organizations in which Russia can show its heft and say that yes, you will see there are many people who are still talking with us. So this is with respect to sunken costs. Then safe space. This BRICS platform gives a platform to India and China to decouple their strategic contest from other dimensions of the relations. Despite of having such a long drawn standout at the border, India and China, India's Prime Minister and Chinese President were together on this virtual summit. So this shows that this forum gives us as an opportunity. And why are we together at this very forum? Because the ethos of this forum, one of the main ethos was that we are not to bring bilateral issues, disputes, and those bilateral disputes should not affect the working of this very organization, and which is why we can go and sit over there and still talk with Chinese president. However, India of late is becoming not very comfortable with this very arrangement which has been going on for quite some while, that despite of China undercutting us on certain strategic interests, on certain security issues, that we still go and talk about in economy with them. So India is not very happy with this de-hyphenation of economic ties vis-a-vis strategic ties of late, and we have to see how in future this plays out. Status. So our foreign minister Shri S. Jaishankar says that it provides India, this organization, a transcontinental reach because of Brazil in South America and South Africa in the African continent, and this is good optics. India today aspires to be a world power, and it is projecting itself as one of the major stakeholders in world power, and therefore this organization, despite of us not having much heft or workings in South America and vis-a-vis with respect to Africa also, our investment is far lower than China. Still, participation on a world forum of this intensity with countries coming from these continents show that we have a transcontinental reach and we are just not confined to Asia. Then with respect to signaling, India is a proud revisionist when it comes to structure of international organization. Joint statements of BRICS boost this stand. When you speak of being a revisionist, revisionist means that we want to change what has happened in history and we want to set a new order in place in respect to that. When it comes to international organization structure, we on the world stage go very firmly and say that this is wrong and this needs to be changed. This very organization, BRICS, provides us with a platform so as to do that signaling, and from that very respects it is important to India. So therefore, these are all the points for which BRICS still holds relevance for India today. This is all with respect to this lecture. I have taken up this very topic since there was any topic in the Indian Express to discuss today. However, this also happens to be a very important topic from GS2's perspective and from international relations perspective. Thank you and have a nice day.